All right. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Tuesday, second week of 2024. Hopefully, your guys' week and year is already starting off strong. And just welcome. Want to say hi to my mom and dad. Hi, love you guys. And I'm going to cut straight into it. Today's conversation, I really want to talk about the issues between supporters in Overwatch 2. I think there's been a lot of conversations that I have with my group, and I even kind of seen throughout like Twitter and social media, the issues that we have with supports when it comes to Overwatch and the life, I guess the health and the life of the ecosystem of the game. The issue I have with them, pretty much to cut straight into it, is that in the last video I said that they're too gimmicky. Each character that comes out for healers, they um they're what's the word here? They lack consistency when it comes to healing. So, for example, the only two characters that I feel heal consistent is only Mercy and Lucio. If you think about it, Mercy, once you hit her heal beam, she is just healing you until either you or her die, and then her what is it? Her ability is to pick you back up if you die. And with Lucio, his consistent, he has two modes, right? It's either speed boost or his healing beat. And that just pretty much is like he has a circle around him that it's yellow or green. If it's yellow, it's healing you. And if it's green, you have a speed boost. And that's his main function. And then his ult is obviously if someone comes or if there's enemy character comes and does their ult, you hit your ult, you pretty much protect everyone to a certain radius. And I think I figured out why I died with Lucio when I hit my ult near and near a diva bomb. Is pretty much, I guess, as long as you're not on top of that diva bomb, you'll survive. But all the other characters, so aside from those two, Mercy and Lucio being a consistent healer, everyone else really does not do that. Everyone else is pretty much when you think about Iari, the new character, Moira, Baptiste, Zenyatta. Let's see, who else am I missing here? I know I'm missing. Or Anna, right? Like these are all characters that they feel like a DPS character, with the second thought being some type of healing ability. And what I mean by this is the main character, and I feel that she had a lot of potential, is Iari. Her healing tower and does a lot of healing, but her main function is to shoot. So I've been in multiple situations where I'm Iari and I'm healing, and she has a secondary like laser beam of heal, but after that, you turn into a DPS character. And I've been in multiple situations where I have my whole team in front of me, and they've destroyed my pylon, my healing pylon. Then I'm sitting there like, okay, well, let me use the last little bit of healing I have, shoot the laser out, and then I'm just standing there, kind of like, hey, I need healing, and I'm just like, I'm out of heals, right? Same thing with Moira. Moira has a healing meter. Where she does more damage than healing, because she can sit there, you can hold her left trigger or whatever you have it as, and it'll just continue to do damage. While her healing is, you're limited to her healing, and if you run out of healing, you can either do a healing orb or a damage orb. And most people do a damage orb because she's a pretty good counter when it comes to any kind of character who's like jumpy, like Genji and whatnot. So that doesn't really what is it? It doesn't really reward the team for having a Moira unless you're going to do DPS. Um, Same thing with Baptiste. His primary shot when you're shooting his gun is to do damage. But if you shoot with his other alternate shot, it does a short range, but pretty good. It does a pretty good healing grenade launcher. But again, it's rewarding the player to play as a DPS support. Um, and we can go down the list. Anna, same thing. I think Anna's shot is the only one that feels that, okay, it makes sense. Like you shoot her, it's a really slow shot. You can either do damage or heal. But again, you have to be a pretty good shot with Anna if you're gonna do both damage and healing. So you're being rewarded to I guess like stay back, which is good as a support. Stay back and do healing and damage from far. But again, we're running into these issues where the support overall ecosystem isn't really supporting. You have two characters whose main priority is to heal, and everyone else is damage plus plus healing. And no other class does this. Like damage, the DPS doesn't do this, and tank doesn't do this. Even if you see, could you imagine if we had Soldier, who I was thinking about a while back? His secondary is to heal, right? Like he throws out like a healing rift in the bottom, and anyone around him can heal. Could you imagine him being a DPS whose main function felt was to heal, meaning that you get rewarded to heal and not rewarded to do damage. There's no characters in DPS where you're sitting there shooting and your shot and your grenades and all this other stuff are on a cooldown. Like you're not sitting there with soldier running out of bullets and having to wait till your bullets come back to continue to do healing, but to do damage. But let's say if he was rewarded for that, where his main kit was to do was a DPS player, but was rewarded for doing healing, meaning that his shots did healings, his grenades do healings. Maybe his alt was to do healing, and then his secondary thing is to do damage. Like that would make no sense. And same thing when you go over to tanks. The only one again I can relate to through all three because they all heal is Roadhog, right? His main priority is to do damage, and his damage kit is incredible. But then you throw the healing onto himself, and he becomes an unstoppable character. But he gets rewarded for doing everything. I've never played as Roadhog, and all of a sudden sat there. I'm like, well, I'm out of my shotgun shots. I'm out of my like hook. I'm just gonna sit here and then hope till one of these things regenerate back so I can continue to do what that character's main function is. But support for whatever reason, they're not rewarded for healing. Like everything is on a cooldown, and except who I mentioned was Lucio and Mercy. And I wonder what the thought behind that is. Which is what the last video I was talking about. That I really hope that this year's new support main function is to heal. Like everything in their kit should be to heal. And there's nothing wrong with doing damage, but if their main kit is to, I don't know, you throw an orb or some type of, I don't know, like you call, I don't know, enemy strike from the top. And as it does damage, it also does healing or it does some type of protection. Because I don't think that the healers that we have, even though they do feel overpowered, which doesn't make sense, and they only feel overpowered is because their damage output feels stronger than a tank. As I mentioned, there's been multiple times, and I hope you guys can relate, where you're playing as a tank and a healer will just come straight up to your face, and it's like, dude, I'm a tank. I'm not. My shots aren't doing enough damage, but then my health isn't also absorbing the damage that this healer is doing to me. Why am I going one on one? Like I think a healer should know, like, hey, I cannot come up to a 1v1 against a tank or a DPS, right? Because I know that for the most part, if I try to rush a DPS, a good DPS, as a tank, I'm going to get eaten up alive, right? Like that's not smart of me. But I've seen multiple times where a healer will just rush in and they're killing everyone. You're like, okay, well, I guess we have to change our whole strat because this character is clearly unkillable. So like looking at that and wondering what they can do in order to provide like better support for the characters, right? So the main function or the main thought would be that each character that heals, their primarily shot or their main goal, whatever their kit is healing. Damage should be the second thought, right? Like soldier, his main thing is to shoot and kill, and his kit comes with the healing rift in the bottom that heals characters nearby, but he is rewarded for doing a lot of kills. And on a lot of times in the heals, it feels like I can sit there with Lucio and I'm sitting there and I'm doing healing and I'm doing healing and I'm doing healing and my ult isn't moving up. But the moment I start doing damage, I'm rewarded and then my ult percentage starts moving up. So it tells me as a player and as the community is that you are going to be rewarded more if you then go ahead and do damage as opposed to healing, right? Same thing with the tank. I sometimes maybe you guys have a better understanding to this, but there's been many times where I sit there and I ask the guys like, dude, how are these other tanks getting their ults up quicker? Because I feel that when I'm using my oh no, oh no, I feel like when I'm using my self as a tank, it comes off as my shields or anything that I'm doing really isn't working. But then like so then I move over to the healers, and I feel like the healers, if you are doing healing, if your output of healing is just insane out of this world, then you should continue to get your ult up quicker. But that's a second thought. The main thing is like these healers need to either the new healers that need to come out need to have the main focus, as I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, is to just pretty much have this thing where we are going to heal and nothing else. Reward us for healing. Reward the team for healing. This is why 99% of the games that we play, that if it's two of our clanmates, three of our clanmates, it is rare that we get another support or a healer on the team because no one wants to do healing for that main reason. You are not rewarded. Why do people choose supports? You're rewarded for being, I'm sorry, for DPS. Why do you get, why do people choose that? You get rewarded, right? Like you can go, you can hide, you can be a sniper, you can be a soldier, you can be, someone who's up in the sky, and you get rewarded for doing moves like that. And then you go over a tank, and then of course you're rewarded, right? You're in the front line, you're pushing the line back, you're moving the team forward, you're trying to make sure that the team scatters, so then your team can continue to move forward. But as a support, you stay back, and then your kit turns into you being a far distant DPS character and not really being able to be in the mix to help your team survive. Lucio is the reason or he's one of the fun characters I feel to use, because the only thing that makes him, I feel, allows me to stay alive with him is that I can jump, and then I can stay and like pretty much roller skate on top of the walls, and that gives me the advantage to stay up on top and look at my team. Literally, like you'll see me circling on top, and I'll boop them out of the way. But I know that I have the ability to then use my healing ability to do like an extra boost of energy of healing, right? So that gives me that second option to like, hey, I can kind of be in the mix, and if it gets too dangerous, I can jump out of there, or I can move, or I can, speed my way out of this. So I feel like I get rewarded for not only being able to push my team forward, but then I'm able to get out of the like a danger situation when half my team dies, because again, he is not that strong. The only time Lucio becomes really rewarding is when you hit his ult, and then it protects everyone and you allow the team to move forward. But as a healer, he does a lot of good healing, but you have to be constantly moving, because if not one shot, you're done. Which is fine, which is fair. I think healers should uh, not be, or healers should have that advantage of not being so strong. But aside from that, other characters, Mercy, she needs to be far away, pretty good distance, but then she shoots her beam. She's healing consistently, which obviously then becomes really valuable. But then you have Mercies on their team, or on your team too, that sometimes will just kind of get too excited and they'll go in there and they'll die, or they're trying to revive, and you're just like, we've had many random players that we play with, and the Mercy's like all up in the mix. You're like, dude, you're gonna die. Sure enough, they die. Whole team wipes. So that's my thought on wanting to. I wanted to do this video. I remember going to see my parents, and I was thinking like, dude, like, why does it feel so aggravating to be a support? And I think I found the main reason, and it's pretty much as I mentioned. It's just their main kit. All the new characters' main kit is to do DPS. You get rewarded for DPS. Your healing is on a timer. You run out of healing, and then you sit there, and your team is literally saying, "I need heals," and there should either be a meter on top of a healer for the rest of the team to realize like that you as a healer have run out of heals, so they don't have to sit there and scream at you and say like, hey, where are my heals? And you're just like, I don't know how to explain, I'm out of heals, right? So having characters that run out of heals, and that then they themselves turn into DPS, but then your team gets upset because your heals are not there, right? And then having these characters who are coming into the future, then hopefully allowing them to have their main thing to be healing, rewarded for healing, their ults be healing, and then maybe a second thought would be to do damage, and the damage should be on a cooldown, right? Mora's damage output should be on a cooldown. She should have the ability to consistently heal and not consistently do damage, which a lot of people wouldn't like, but that to me makes sense as a healer. Same thing with ERE. Her main shots should be to do healing, and then an afterthought is to do damage. Maybe her turret does damage, and her herself does a lot of healing, because she's a character of a sun. Even her damage is to do. Even her ult isn't even a healing ult. Most of these characters, dang, I just thought about this too. Most of these characters' ults are not healing. Lucio does a healing ult. What is it? Zenyatta does a healing ult, and Mora kind of does healing and damage, and Anna does a damage ult. Uh, Brigitte kind of does healing damage, or healing. What is it? Healing protection, but hers doesn't really feel that it does enough. So there's not really many characters on the support team that do ults reward the player for having their ults ready. Her ERE's ult should have been something where she does a crazy amount of not only healing and damage. She's part of a sun, Like the sun, what does it do? It not only does it feel good when the sun, is out and you're out and about, but the character should have done something where she explodes, and in that explosion heals the team and either causes a crap ton of damage to the characters while leaving them with the burn, with the like a burner, right? Like how she does now, but reward the character for doing healing. Like, could you imagine this massive wave of just healing, hitting anyone who's nearby, and at the same time hurting any team that's nearby? Like, I think that would be such a great reward for playing that character. So I think that's kind of the whole point of wanting these characters to both have damage and healing, but their main focus is to heal. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know if these points are even valid. Um, let's have a conversation. Let's see what comes out. And I think today's Tuesday, or this Tuesday, and I think we have new stuff coming out for the shop and things like that. And I don't know. Let me know, what do we want to see with these new healers.